On today's job, we're working underwater inside of a dam, entering a confined space, and diving down to the bottom to service a live intake. We'll also inspect its unique screen to show you how this dam's internal intake structure delivers water to a treatment facility, but no lock and tag out procedure today, because we're diving in real-time flow conditions. Types of dams vary widely in both design and purpose. Some utilize floodgates to control water levels of lakes and rivers. This style typically includes a lock system where lock gates can open so ships and barges can enter a floodable chamber, allowing them to travel through. Other dams are hydroelectric, with a powerhouse built directly into the dam, where inside, massive turbines are spun by flowing water to generate electricity. And then there's earthen dams. A compact wall of earth and rock with a simple outlet to regulate flow downstream. This earthen dam has a second outlet that directly feeds water to a treatment facility, and we're heading down inside the intake well to do some maintenance. Real quick guys, less than 2% of you watching are actually subscribed. I put a ton of work into giving you the best behind the scenes experience possible. If you enjoy the content, please hit the subscribe button. It's the easiest way to support the channel. Now let's do some diving. This confined space inside of the dam is referred to as a wet well or an intake well, and we're descending all the way to the bottom just over 50 feet where there's a fully functioning intake that's actively sending water to a treatment facility. Like always, I made a special diagram to give you a full understanding of where we're diving and how this system works. To get to the work area, we have to drop down past a series of platforms, eventually reaching the bottom where the intake is. This system really only has a few main components. We have the intake tower, the intake tunnel or conduit, the intake well that we're diving inside of, and at the very bottom there's a Johnson screen covering the intake, and that goes to the treatment facility. The intake tower is a structure on the lake that extends down into the water. This structure is the first stage screening system. It has trash racks and gates to control water flow, similar to what you would see at a power plant. And then on the top side of the tower, you have the gatehouse, which is essentially a mechanical hub that houses the stem valves and all the mechanical equipment needed to raise and lower the gates. From the tower, water flows through the dam via the conduit to fill the wet well, and then at the bottom is the second stage screen, which in this scenario is a Johnson screen. Visibility is not that good, but now that we're on bottom, we can clearly see the Johnson screen, and it's totally covered in all kinds of funky debris. Topside lowered down a pressure washer, so the first thing we'll do is give it a good cleaning so we can see what we're working with. But before we get started, I did a quick inspection on the screen to ensure everything's intact, make sure there's no critical failures or any kind of major damage that would allow me or my umbilical to get sucked into the intake. We still have to be cautious, but the reason why this intake isn't super dangerous to work around is because of how the screen works. It takes the concentrated suction of the intake pipe and spreads it across thousands of tiny slots. Without the Johnson screen, the intake would be limited to the diameter of the pipe. It would only take one piece of debris to cause a total clog, and wildlife or even divers could easily get sucked inside. The Johnson screen expands the intake area by manyfold, ensuring that even if one part of the screen is obstructed, the system keeps flowing without any kind of dangerous high-velocity pull. We did the initial inspection and went over the whole screen, and I didn't find any major damage, so I was feeling pretty confident that I could safely work around the screen. I noticed that there was two cables, one on either end of the screen, giving it extra support holding it upright. And this is actually what we have some issues with later. Unfortunately, the pressure washer didn't work for long. It sucked up some kind of gunk and it clogged the tip, so I had to forget about the pressure washer, hold that up, and I climbed back up across all the platforms to the top platform or top side, tied a wire brush into my umbilical, and then I was able to pull that down to me, and then with the wire brush in hand, I dropped it back down and got to work scrubbing the screen. I eventually worked my way over to the cable that was supporting the screen to do a quick once-over on it, and that's when I discovered we had some galvanic corrosion going on. Looks like a carbon steel clamp was used to secure the stainless steel cable. People often misidentify galvanic corrosion as electrolysis, but there's a key difference. Electrolysis is driven by an external electrical source, while galvanic corrosion occurs naturally when two dissimilar metals are electrically connected in the presence of an electrolyte like salt water, or in this case, mineral-rich water. Essentially, the dissimilar metals form a tiny, low-voltage electrochemical cell similar to a battery. In this case, the carbon steel clamp is the less noble metal, so it becomes the anode and corrodes first. The steel clamp loses its electrons and breaks down, while the stainless steel acts as the cathode and is protected as it receives those electrons. Over time, the clamp slowly degrades at the molecular level because without those electrons holding its metallic bonds together, the steel literally loses its structural integrity and dissolves. That cable clamp being near failure is a prime example of why I did my initial inspection to check for critical failures. If that cable clamp would have failed, and say the extra strain on the screen caused the screen to break off and the intake pipe was wide open, then I go down there thinking everything's fine and get sucked up against the pipe. That's my last dive. While the intake pipe seems relatively small, just an 18-inch diameter pipe, at a depth of 50 feet, the physics are staggering. If you were to get sucked into or up against that pipe, you would be pinned with roughly 5,500 pounds of force. That's the weight of a pickup truck pressing down on you. And that's exactly why, even if you think you know what you're getting into, you always have to be extremely cautious when diving on dams, and never assume things are how they should be. I reported the galvanic corrosion to topside, and while I finished scrubbing up the screen, we had one of our guys run to the hardware store to get the proper cable clamp. We didn't want to risk dropping any tools, so I went all the way back up to the surface and waited on the ladder, and eventually he came back and lowered down a bag with the cable clamps and a wrench. Then I sank back down and got to work getting the clamp on. Now in a minute here, there's a really strange aquatic creature that swims past the camera. I'll point it out when it comes up, but in all my years of diving, I've never seen anything quite like this. It kind of looked like a salamander crossed with a dragonfly, which sounds pretty crazy, but let me know in the comments if you have any idea what this thing is or what you think it is, but I'll point it out when it comes up. Since there's some pretty small parts on this clamp, I actually took my gloves off. That way I have a better grip on them and I'm going to be less likely to drop them. And then once I took some of the bolts off, I actually stuffed them down into the sleeve of my wetsuit. That's a little trick I do not to lose things. And then if you think it got a little darker, you're not going crazy. Topside, the supervisor actually has control over the intensity of the light. When we were diving previously, it was up all the way, and that's why you probably saw that massive glare on everything that I did. But since this is so small, gotta be careful not to drop anything, he actually dimmed the light basically as low as it goes. That way it's just enough for me to see, and I'm not going to be totally blinded by any glares. Now, right about now is where this crazy aquatic creature is about to pop up, so check this out. It's kind of quick, but it's coming up right now. There is no shortage of strange creatures in the underwater world. Well, we got the cable clamp on there. Hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to drown that like button, and I'll see you the next time we're working underwater.